because we see too often doctors coming over in the wrong centres and they're sitting in an empty consult room with no patients. So it's really important to understand that it's a high quality medical centre. Need more doctors.
Australia's growing medical sector is drawing doctors, in particular GPs and specialists from all over the world, with major job opportunities in regional and rural locations here in Australia. The question now is which regional areas and in which state in this vast country the best fit for you and your family. Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Rizwan Qureshi, and today I'm going to talk about which area should you work and relocate to when you're taking up a job as a GP or a specialist here in Australia. 2 months back, we launched our GP documentation serving, streamlining the recognition of MRC GP International, South African GP Fellowship and Irish GP membership exams. We have assisted now over 50 GPs from countries like Pakistan, India, Middle East, South Africa, UK, and even Brunei. In just 2 months, our GPs are successfully getting their comparability outcomes with RSC GP in record times, and now we're in a process of linking them up with job offers in areas like Newcastle, Nowra, Cairns, Albury that are beautiful family-oriented areas. The issue is the GPs now face an enviable dilemma. Where in Australia should they kickstart their career? In today's videos, I'm going to try to make their decision a bit easier by talking about number 1, the perks of life in regional or rural Australia. Number 2, key points to consider when selecting a regional living spot. Number 3, valuable insight from someone called Darren Compton. Number 4, sneak peek into homes in Australia. Yes, that's right. I visited one home in regional Australia and I would like to show you how the homes are organized in regional areas. So what makes regional and rural Australia stand out? Number 1, superior job salaries. In most regional settings, affordable housing. Now we've all seen the housing prices have skyrocketed in Sydney, Melbourne and other areas. But in regions, big houses on rents and even to buy are much more affordable. Now the living in regions is serene. There's minimal traffic, there's no noise, and it's very peaceful for you to live there, work there and raise up your young family. Top-notch educational institute. That's right, you heard me right. The schools in the region can be some of the best schools in the region. We've seen the example of Albury, which has one of the state's top-ranking regional schools here in Australia. This is especially valuable for the families with young children or school-going children. Warm and welcoming locals. They're getting more and more accustomed to migrant doctors because these are the regions in which there have been no doctors or there have been minimal amount of doctors. So when new GPs come in, they're welcoming. Possible fast-track permanent resident visas for doctors sponsored by certain states. That's right, certain states are really struggling to not only invite doctors but to retain doctors. In order to incentivize the whole thing, they sponsor permanent migrant visas for these doctors early on. Now, close-knit community of migrant doctors. Now, we've seen some of the region and rural locations, the doctors from different communities come close up together and live like in a very vibrant community, as opposed to sprawling cities like Sydney and Melbourne, where migrant community can be very segregated. So what should you consider choosing an ideal regional location? Number 1, favor the coastal towns. Remember, 90% of the Australia live near the coast, offering milder summer temperature, because in inland Australia, temperature during the summer months can climb up to 35 to 40 degrees. If you have school-going children, then opt for a location with maximum of 15 minutes drive to the nearest school. Now, a family needs to shop for groceries and other items. Ensure that you are within 30 minutes of nearest shopping town. Also, it's better to work in an area close to the big hospital, because if there's any emergency for your family, you should be able to access the public hospital. Preferably, it should not be more than 45 to about an hour away. Now, Australia has an amazing road network. Choose a location which has good road connectivity to the major towns and regions, or has good railway networks to the capital cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, etc. For GPs and their families, an international driver's license is a must, because public transport in the region or taxis in the regions are almost non-existent. Now let's listen to Darren Compton's expert advice, as he had been helping doctors and GPs for years, helping them settle into various states here in Australia.
So Darren, I think we've got lots of GPs who are coming in from Middle East, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka.
Correct.
And they are partially comparable through competent authority pathway. And we need to sort of get a better understanding as to what it means or what is a good contract.
This is something that's balanced in a medical centre that's got enough support for doctors coming over to Australia for the first time. So we're talking about good nursing support, good practice management support, and good patient demand. So basically when they arrive, the doctors are going to be busy because we see too often doctors coming over in the wrong centres and they're sitting in an empty consult room with no patients. So it's really important to understand that it's a high quality medical centre with good doctors and good support.
What about the location?
The location needs to be a DPA area, which you can find on the Health Workforce Locator map or on our website. It also needs to be triple M2 for any partially comparable doctor or triple M1 for substantially comparable doctors. These are areas just outside of the major cities, so Wollongong, Newcastle, Sydney, here in where we are for Wonka today. But we also have people on the ground in Perth, in Melbourne, in Adelaide and in Queensland that can talk to you guys about those locations. So we've got 3 doctors coming into Cairns. Warmer climates, they really enjoy the Queensland locations, Rockhampton, Mackay, Cairns, whereas the climate down here in New South Wales is a little bit more temperate and it gets colder if you go down to Victoria. So it really depends. Some of the South African doctors love going to Victoria because it's actually quite similar to the Johannesburg climate, which I never knew. So I think there's a lot of things. So I think working with someone that is on the ground here, we go to all of our clients, we know the medical centres, we know the owners, and therefore we can negotiate for the doctors to help them find the right location for them and their families.
So one thing that I get asked is, what about the community? Because they would like to come in a community which is established nice to school, close to school, shopping centres.
Yep.
Do you think that all of these MM2 plus GP practices where we're placing them are close to these amenities, like nearby a hospital, nearby a good school for their kids, a shopping centre? What do you think about that? The practices that you're working with?
Yeah, most are. The more rural you go, the less amenities that there are. But take someone like Albury, for example, in New South Wales, 150,000 population. It's got one of the best schools in Australia. So actually when the doctors achieve their fellowship after 2 or 3 years, they actually choose to stay on because the kids are settled in the school, husband or wife's got a really good job. It's a big tourist town. The same with Albany in Western Australia. It might on the map look a little further away, but it's got the best regional school in all of Western Australia.
Okay.
So our job isn't just to find you the right job, it's the right medical centre, it's the right location, spouse's job, kids' schools, all of the things that are important to doctors. I relocated from the UK in 2012, so I've been here for 11 years. I know what it's like to relocate. I started in Sydney and then I moved south. Often the first place you land isn't where you finish up. So yeah, we're big advocates for helping doctors relocate to the right location, particularly when they first arrive.
So then, from my understanding, it's not just about the contract, which is money on the contract. It's actually about the location where you're able to generate that income with that practice, plus also closer to amenities. It may look very far-fetched or far out, but it's actually closer to amenities which are best for the region in that area. And it's got good links to the major town center. I think these could be the crucial factors with the job doctors should be looking for when they're considering a big move, because nobody knows about Australia, what the towns are, what the states are, what are the major airports nearby, how close they are to the capital cities. And I think we have to just simplify that process, that all of the practices that we're working are closer to those amenities that we've just talked about and are actually commutable from major towns and cities. So in terms of any socialization or big events like this event,
That's right.
they can come over once a year or once every 6 months if there's a major concert or something like
Yep.
that. Anything else that you'd like to add? Or?
I would just talk about percentage. Doctors get paid a percentage, and often from overseas, it can be simple as I want the highest percentage I can probably get. But on average, we actually ask you to flip that conversation around and rather say 65% of my billings, ask what do I get for the 35% service fee that I'm paying. And if I'm getting good nursing support, often 65% of your billings can actually be better in a well-run practice than 70% of your billings in a poorly run practice. So always look for good nursing support, good practice management, a consistent base of staff, good patient demand. And by using an agent such as ourselves, we know our clients, we know them well, and we can help them make that introduction and then take the doctors all the way through the process. Even we meet them at the airport, we take them down to wherever they're going. We share their stories on LinkedIn and stuff because it's great to show these stories to help other doctors come into Australia.
Now I'm going to show you a typical house here in regional Australia. This is the house that I visited a number of months ago, and you can see how big the front yard and the backyard is and how the rooms and different areas are organized. So this is a town which I visited in one of the regions. As you can see, it's a very huge front garden leading up to the house in the middle, and there's an equally huge garden in the rear of the property as well. So that's the front elevation only, and you can see it's surrounded all by nature. Now that's the porch, like the front veranda. That's the front veranda. Enter into the house, you enter into a lounge. Now that's a sitting area or a living area leading into an open plan kitchen. And here you can see the kitchen, and it comes with a stove, the fridge, the microwave, the washing area, and then it's overlooking the rear backyard area with some sitting area. Now let's move a bit more into that's a little dining area. Again, big set of doors going out. Here you can see the rear sitting area, and you can see that it's quite well laid out with laundry. That's an internal laundry if you go in. So yeah, that's a separate laundry with a washing machine and a dryer, and just hand washing area, and just completely surrounded by nature. Good area for the kids to play, to do the barbecue, and that's a clothing line there as well. All surrounded by nature. Beautiful and quiet place, and very peaceful. Going back into the house, you can see this is the bedroom area. That's a master bedroom with big windows looking over the large front garden. And then we have got the kids' bedroom. So this is a small property with only 2 bedrooms. That's a toilet area and a separate shower and a bath. So this is a typical house. I hope you liked the insights that I shared and the discussions you've listened to in this video. If you need any assistance in terms of your paperwork as a specialist, as a GP, contact me info@emergencyfocus.net, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Thank you very much. Take care. Look after each other. Bye.